Jai Gurudev. Question: if the system of surrender is self-sufficient, do you mean to say that we do not need to continue jap, tap and puja? Answer: when the self-equipped system of Shaktipat is attained, other forms of aspiration indeed become secondary. They do not contribute to your progress any longer. However, it cannot be forgotten that sanskaras may be there even after the awakening of Shakti in an aspirant. These imprints of past prompt one to not only desire the outward objects of life but also to do japa, tapa, or worship. It is therefore necessary that everything included these traditional forms of worship is surrendered to God. It may also be advised that one should schedule different times for the practice of traditional worship and this course of spiritual aspiration. For instance, you should follow the Shaktipat system early in the morning from 4 am to 6 am, and after that you take your bath in the morning. You may perform your routine of other forms of worship. I do not particularly advise you to discontinue the system you have been following, nor would I advise you to continue one. I may, however, speak for certain that once your sanskaras have been reduced, other types of practice will automatically drop. They continue in an aspirant as long as he has not attained a height where they have become irrelevant. Question: it appears that the place of aspiration has a great bearing in this system. Sadhan is definitely deep and intense in solitude and in places of natural beauty or spiritual depth. It is never the case in a house. According to you, what is the significance of the place in our system? Answer: the place of aspiration has a great significance in the course of aspiration. There are only a few persons who have risen above time and place and have remained unaffected. The common experience is that the proper atmosphere is a great help for the advancement of this course. Once the system is strengthened by regularity of practice, the necessity will naturally be minimized. It need not be reiterated that places like lonely forest, cremation or burial grounds, religious places, and spots of natural beauty make the mind calm. It also goes without saying that in places of the world where there is a concentration of passion and desire, the mind is affected adversely. Admittedly, housing is a great problem these days. With the increase in population, accommodations have reduced much in size. A separate room for spiritual exercises, which is no doubt enriched in spiritual vibrations, can be confined to a corner for those who cannot afford to have a separate room. But the place should be kept fully free and not used for any worldly purpose. And those who cannot even arrange for a corner at least may be advised to assign some place in a temple, garden, or any other religious centers where they are able to remain unaffected by outward atmosphere. Question. Some of the initiates of Shaktipat system are householders and some become brahmachari. What is actually the difference between the two? What are their distinct characters and what specific duties are assigned to them? What should be relationship between the two? Kindly throw light on these points. Answer. Surely there are both types, worldly and non-worldly, found in the followers of this system. A householder continues to lead a disciplined life of limited needs and performs deeds without involvement. It is a matter of fact a preparing ground for the second stage of brahmacharya. He is living in the world of pleasure and pain, but at the same time he is above them. Whatever actions he performs, he has a sense of duty and he offers them with the fruits thereof to Almighty Lord. A brahmachari is the kind of a disciple who is totally indifferent towards the world and has no desire for any enjoyments whatsoever. It is therefore advised that only those disciples who have courage to get over all sense pleasures should choose to go for this system of discipleship. The life of a brahmachari is full of sacrifice and service. He devotes his entire time either in studies or service. He has to perfect himself and learn scriptural rites of importance in this period. He must have endurance to suffer and great patience. He cannot have any excuse for the break or irregularity in practice like a householder. He has to get beyond pleasure and pain, profit and loss, and respect and disregard much before he is acclaimed in society as a saint. The two types of disciples are interdependent. A closer coordination between the two is needed all the more. If the householder looks for inspiration from the recluse, the brahmachari depends on many worldly needs from the householder. A greater sense of responsibility that occurs on the part of brahmachari is that whether meeting his necessities or not, whether being helped by his householding counterpart or not, he has to remain satisfied. Question. Quite often you have mentioned in your speeches that an aspiration is of two types, one being internal and the other external. Unless and until the two are coordinated, perfection is not seen. How can one bring union between the two? Answer. Aspiration is basically one, though it may have different aspects. What I mean by external aspiration is the outward behavior of the aspirant. Whether he speaks evil or good, whether he is selfish or cares for the good of others, whether he becomes angry immediately or has some tolerance, how much object attract him, whether or not he performs his duty with the sense of duty alone and surrenders the fruit thereof to the Almighty Lord. All these qualities and their ongoing cultivation in a man amounts to external aspiration. Yoga Darshan details many more accomplishments under the category of Yam and Niyam. All of these are practical and are better behavioral attitudes which have a great bearing on internal progress. Further accumulation of sanskars is checked by this exercise and the advancement of the aspirant is expedited. Internal aspiration is generally thought to be the actual aspiration. This is the process of purification of mind. Whatever actions are performed with the sense of doership by a man, they only add to the burden of the past. Therefore, aspiration needs to be without this sense. Other traditional systems have failed to contribute much simply because they are also performed with the sense of doership. It is important, therefore, whether internal or external, that both type of aspiration are performed without involvement. The seer and not the doer is what is needed here. These practices are interdependent, and without the progress in one, the other cannot go far. The one cannot be sacrificed for the other. They have to move simultaneously. The aspirant is in fact fighting against two different types of enemies. Externally, he has to put a stop to any further accumulation of sanskars. Internally, he must thin out the accumulated effects gradually and purify chit. They supplement, strengthen, and intensify each other in such a manner that spiritual advancement of the aspirant is fixed. Jai Gurudev.